Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Maller Grotner Plummer Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Maller Grotner Plummer Attorneys, understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, on the web at lawngp.com. Smithville, fiber internet, security solutions, and voice in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Bunger and Robertson, attorneys at law since 1949, utilizing experience, knowledge, and resources to help individuals and families recover in personal injury matters. Information at lawbr.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Vivian Winston was one of 3 Indiana University trustees removed from the board by Governor Mike Braun this spring. She says it was because she had become critical of IU President Pamela Whitten's leadership style.
Pam can be very charming, very enthusiastic. I mean, I was 100% behind her, and I actually knew better.
The Mineral Springs Hotel in Paoli made Indiana Landmark's 10 Most Endangered Places list this year, but it may be past saving.
I think they don't want to see the building lost, but if it were to continue to deteriorate without any further action, there might be calls for demolition of the building. We are not at that point yet.
It was last used as a hotel in 1958 and has sat vacant the past 10 years. And we talk with an expert about the ACLU's lawsuit against Ball State over the firing of an employee. We'll have these stories and more right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Former Indiana University trustee Vivian Winston described her disillusionment with President Pamela Whitten Wednesday in a speech to the Bloomington Press Club. As Ethan Sandwise reports, she fell out of favor with Whitten and the board after faculty voted no confidence in the president.
IU alumni elected Winston to the board 3 years ago, and Governor Mike Braun removed her this spring after last-minute changes to state law gave him full control over the governing board.
I got a letter in the mail saying I was terminated effective immediately. Okay, a one-sentence letter. I was terminated effective immediately.
Although she became a vocal critic of Whitten's leadership style, Winston says she supported the president for the first year and a half.
Pam can be very charming, very enthusiastic. I mean, I was 100% behind her, and I actually knew better. Looking back, I talked to people who said things aren't going well.
Winston notably broke with the board last summer after it released a letter unambiguously supporting Whitten, despite a 93% faculty vote of no confidence. Winston says she was not told about the statement before it was released. She urged her colleagues to take faculty concerns seriously. When the board decided to renew Whitten's contract in February, Winston says she was only told the morning of the meeting.
I had the feeling that I was the one lone person there who had not been told beforehand.
She was the one trustee to vote no. Now Winston says she's worried about how Whitten and the board's conduct have affected IU's reputation and its ability to attract and retain world-class talent.
University of Michigan could take like 2 minutes and say what I just said, and then they could throw in the fact that the president got a 93% vote of no confidence and the board did nothing. He wouldn't have a shot at that faculty member.
In addition to her time as trustee, Winston is a IU alumna, former Kelley School lecturer, and business manager for WFIU and WTIU in the 1980s. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Ethan Sandwise.
The university has declined to comment on Governor Braun's removal of Winston and 2 other alumni-elected trustees, Donna Spears and Jill Maurer-Burnett. The ACLU of Indiana has filed a lawsuit against Ball State University's president this week over the firing of an employee who posted about Charlie Kirk's death on social media. Indiana Public Broadcasting Stephanie Wickman has more on the lawsuit from Muncie.
Last week, Suzanne Swartz's private Facebook post calling Kirk's death a tragedy, but also pointing to the, quote, violence, fear, and hatred he sowed, was shared online by Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. Since 2023, she was Director of Health Promotion and Advocacy at the Muncie School until she was fired on September 17th for the social media post. Swartz says she does not regret her post and would not take back what she wrote.
I believe that I, along with every other person in this country, have First Amendment rights and to be able to speak on a number of things.
In a statement last week, Ball State said her post caused significant disruption to the university. Stevie Pachter with the ACLU of Indiana says Swartz didn't create the disruption herself, but those like Rokita who amplified it online did.
She is not the one who widely disseminated this post. And of course, it wasn't only the Attorney General of the state of Indiana that did, but he certainly did.
When asked for a response, Ball State University said it does not comment on pending litigation. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Stephanie Weekman.
Now, I spoke yesterday with Kenneth Dow-Smith, a professor of labor and employment law at IU's Maurer School of Law, about the legalities behind the ACLU lawsuit.
What does the law say about when someone can be fired for speech?
Okay. Well, I do want to say up front that I realize this is a very sensitive topic for some people, and certainly I think the vast majority of Americans think what happened to Mr. Kirk was atrocious, the assassination, and we really feel for his family. But it is true that most of the people I think most of the people who have gotten in trouble for posting Facebook comments or X comments that some people didn't feel were sensitive enough, at least if they had a public employer, there is a violation of the First Amendment there. Basically, for an application of the First Amendment, you need state action. You need the state to do something. And when you have a public employer discipline or discharge somebody, that is clearly state action. And the Supreme Court, back in the Pickering case, recognized that there was a conflict between employees' First Amendment rights and the right of the state to run an efficient workplace. And in the Pickering case, the Supreme Court told us that we have to balance those rights, that public employees don't give up the right to comment on matters of public concern just because they become state employees. But if their speech infringes on the efficient operation of the public workplace, then the employer can discipline or discharge them for it.
So how about the ACLU's case against Ball State? Does that have merit?
I think they're going to win that case, yes. I think the Swartz case, I mean, I've read her post. Her post is in some ways very uncharitable to Mr. Kirk, but she's allowed to have, in some ways it's very sympathetic too, to be fair to her. I mean, she expresses that this is not something that she would want it to happen. She bemoans the assassination. She feels sorry for the family, but then she does say some uncharitable things about Mr. Kirk. She's allowed to have those beliefs in a free society. People may not agree with those and they may be disturbed by those beliefs, but she's allowed to have those beliefs. And her posting that on a private Facebook page, I think that Ball State is going to have a very difficult time proving that somehow interfered with her efficient operation of her duties at Ball State.
So there's a similar case at Franklin College. Professor was reprimanded but not fired. So are the laws different for, let's say, private versus state schools?
They certainly are. And these cases are cropping up all over the country. I mean, I've been saving them, especially since you called me and asked me to interview on this. And there's a lot of them. And it is absolutely true that private employers do not engage in state action. And if you have an employee at will, they can fire them generally for expressing views of public concern.
Governor Braun said the Secretary of Education can revoke or suspend a teacher's license for misconduct, warning those who've made comments celebrating or inciting political violence. So who decides if unpopular speech rises to that level?
Well, I think actually it falls under the same test. I mean, based on what he said, he's absolutely right. I mean, if you had a teacher who actually, advocated inciting political violence, that is something certainly that could be disciplined for, and you could take away a license. But the act of taking away a license is, once again, you cannot take away a license from someone for their protected expression, First Amendment expressions. And so if you just willy-nilly went around and took away the teaching license of any teacher who posted something on a private Facebook page that you didn't feel was charitable enough to Mr. Kirk, that would be a violation of their First Amendment rights. It doesn't matter that it's licensure. That is once again state action. But certainly if you had, I don't know what, a teacher advocating, let's make bombs and go out in the streets and fight and stuff like that, no, you could take away their license for that expression.
Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Sure. It's an important question.
The State Court of Appeals has ruled against the city of Bloomington in the annexation case of Western Areas 1A and 1B. Appeals court judges heard arguments August 19th from representatives of county residents against annexation and the city. In a unanimous opinion, the court rejected the city's, quote, novel interpretations of the annexation statutes. The city says it will appeal the case to the Indiana Supreme Court. Well, we're joined now by Aubrey Wright for more headlines from around the state. Hi, Aubrey.
Hey, Joe. A federal judge for Indiana's Southern District has ordered the U.S. Forest Service to temporarily halt its logging project in Hoosier National Forest. The Houston South project includes clear-cutting 401 acres and logging on about 4,000 acres in western Jackson County. The U.S. Forest Service said in an August 2024 assessment that these plans would not affect soil erosion or Lake Monroe's water quality. But the court found those studies either outdated or irrelevant. Beacon Incorporated is building a new facility on Bloomington's west side. Officials broke ground on the project this week. Beacon is the largest service and shelter provider for people experiencing homelessness in Monroe and 5 surrounding counties. And Benta Boutier reports the new center will combine a number of resources under one roof.
The new center will have housing, supportive services, a day center, and employment support in one building.
This is going to offer us an incredible opportunity to move into employment. We'll have a training kitchen in the facility. We'll have the work exchange apartments. We're working on a partnership with the Parks Department to help maintain Rose Hill Cemetery.
Beacon's new home will be on the site previously owned by Weddle Brothers Construction. Gilmore says demolition of abandoned buildings on the property will start this fall and be done before winter. It makes space for a 45,000 square foot 2-story building. The first floor will hold an overnight shelter, offices, spaces for support services, and a kitchen. The second floor will consist of 20 apartments for people who have been homeless because of a disability and 5 work exchange apartments. Bloomington Mayor Carrie Thompson says the city's job is to help connect different community pieces.
This is not the work of one system or one organization. It's collective work. It's neighbors and nonprofits, government, faith communities, and businesses, all pulling in the same direction.
Beacon has raised $4.72 million of its $5 million goal in community fundraising. It has about $4 million left to raise with grants and foundations. The City of Bloomington and Monroe County Commissioners have contributed $1.1 million toward the center. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Benta Boutier.
Pendragon Properties owner Jeff Jones has agreed to sell all of his buildings in Bloomington within the next 3 years, rather than battle the city in court. The city told Jones in April that it would not renew rental permits for more than 30 properties he owns in Bloomington. Those expire every 3 to 5 years. The agreement with the city says Jones cannot operate properties in Bloomington for the next 20 years. In exchange, the city waived his fines for repeated rental code violations and dropped all pending litigation. Conservative commentator Tucker Carlson will replace Charlie Kirk as a speaker at Indiana University next month as part of Turning Point USA's American Comeback Tour. Kirk, the Turning Point co-founder, was shot and killed earlier this month during a campus event in Utah. Kirk's widow, Erica, podcasters Megyn Kelly and Glenn Beck, and several Republican governors are among those scheduled to speak at the event. The event is October 21st at 6:30 p.m. It'll be free and open to the public. A location has not been announced. More than 1 out of every 10 prisoners in Indiana is above the age of 55. That's according to a report released by the American Civil Liberties Union on America's skyrocketing elderly prison population. The report blames outdated and extreme sentencing law for the fast-growing population. Indiana spent about $20 million on medical costs for the aging population in 2021, compared to half that in 2015, and costs are going up.
In this country, we incarcerate certainly tens of thousands of people who are so elderly or so ill that they pose zero risk to anybody.
He says older prisoners face more risks inside prison for a variety of reasons, including inadequate health care and abuse from other inmates. The Indiana Parole Board recommended against granting clemency to death row prisoner Roy Ward, who is scheduled to be executed on October 10th. Board members cited the brutal nature of Ward's 2001 rape and murder of 15-year-old Stacey Payne, emphasizing that Payne was conscious during the attack. The board's decision is advisory. Governor Mike Braun has the sole authority to decide Ward's fate. Ward would become the third person put to death by the state since last December. 2 former IU Turning Point USA organizers are asking a federal court to reconsider a lawsuit over the city's denial of an All Lives Matter mural. The city approved 3 Black Lives Matter murals. Plaintiffs say the judge overlooked symbols in the mural. The city says it is too late to introduce a new argument. A pre-trial conference is set for November 4th, with the bench trial November 17th in Indianapolis. A new exhibit commemorating the 100th anniversary of artist T.C. Steele's death opens this weekend in Brown County. Steele was an Impressionist painter who helped establish Brown County as an arts colony. The exhibit at his historic site will feature artworks and condolence letters. And Joe, tomorrow's opening starts a year-long celebration of Steele's life and work.
Thanks, Aubrey, an important person in Brown County. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The Mineral Springs Hotel in Paoli is on this year's top 10 list of endangered landmarks, but it may be past saving. And what's better than having one Mendoza at quarterback for Indiana University? Having 2. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
WFIU is turning 75. Celebrate this milestone with WFIU and WTIU at our open house, Wednesday, October 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Radio TV Building, 1229 East 7th Street in Bloomington. Meet your favorite WFIU and WTIU personalities, tour our broadcast facilities, and get a behind-the-scenes look at the world of public media. Light hors d'oeuvres and beverages will be provided. This free event is open to the public. Learn more at WTIU.org/events.
Hello, I'm Todd Gould, Senior Producer Director at WTIU. I've personally devoted nearly 40 years of my life producing PBS arts and documentary films about important stories from Indiana. The arts, history, and people that make Hoosiers great. Despite government cutbacks, we will never stop telling Indiana's stories, your stories. Please donate now to keep this station strong. Become a sustaining monthly member at WTIU.org.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The historic Mineral Springs Hotel in Paoli has been placed on Indiana Landmark's 10 Most Endangered Places list. Natalie Fitzgibbons has a story behind the 130-year-old building and its chances for restoration.
Orange fencing and cones surround Mineral Springs Hotel in downtown Paoli. It is considered one of the most architecturally distinctive buildings in downtown. The brick building with 3 floors, a basement, 2 verandas, and 80 guest rooms served as a hotel until 1958. But it has been vacant for about 10 years and pigeons have taken residence. Greg Sekula, Southern Regional Director of Indiana Landmarks, says the building was placed on the endangered list for the second time due to a secondary roof to help contain leaks being torn off in a storm in April.
It damaged the brick parapet walls of the hotel and left the skylight, which was an original feature in the building, open to the elements. Subsequent rainfall, which was very extensive this past spring, caused interior water damage.
Sekula says the hotel has become difficult to maintain because its current owners lack financial resources to fix extensive damage. The owners were not available for an interview.
I think they don't want to see the building lost, but if it were to continue to deteriorate without any further action, there might be calls for demolition of the building. We are not at that point yet. We certainly don't advocate for that. We want to avoid that. That's why we've got to be proactive in terms of trying to find solutions to the building.
Mineral Springs was constructed to compete with French Lick and West Baden Springs. A lithium well and a sulfur well was placed in the town. Water from the sulfur well was used by hotel guests. After 1958, different owners have come and gone throughout the years, with various businesses occupying the first floor. 93-year-old Dwayne Radcliffe moved to Paoli when he was 5 years old. Radcliffe's father owned a hardware store next to the hotel where he worked as a teenager. He says he remembers the hotel being a bus stop for World War II soldiers.
It was a very popular hotel during World War II. A lot of people stayed there overnight when they were on leave or visiting, and many times people would come over to the store and talk to me and tell me what was going on at the hotel and what was going to happen that weekend.
Radcliffe says he hopes someone will be interested in purchasing the hotel. If the hotel is lost, if it can't be saved, how would you feel about that?
That would break my heart.
Sekula says the owner still needs to place Mineral Springs on the real estate market, but is wanting to do additional cleanup to make it more suitable for showing.
Overnight accommodations like an Airbnb or perhaps housing would be a great reuse for the property. Many developers think the building is maybe too small just to do a single project, so getting some additional land in and around the area to support additional, for example, units for housing would make sense.
Sekula says funding from the state and federal levels will be needed for restoration of the hotel, but budget cuts make that more difficult. Terry and Brenda Cornwell, members of Saving Historic Orange County, an organization that protects and preserves historic sites, says the Mineral Springs Hotel is vital to the Paoli community.
I think the heart of it is in our hearts. Those of us who grew up here remember it as such a phenomenal building on our square.
Terry says purchasing the building is going to be small compared to the cost of restoring it.
Last few people have talking in the $5, $6, $7 million range to buy it and restore it.
Brenda says they have been able to receive a couple of grants for the hotel.
It'd be great if we just had a group of local people like they did back in 1895 who would come together and put enough money into it to restore it and get it going again.
Brenda says if the building is unable to be purchased and restored, future generations will not know its significance and will only be able to see it in photos.
It's a part of the community fabric.
Yeah.
I always think when you lose a building, large or small, it's like a missing tooth and a smile.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Natalie Fitzgibbons.
And the Indiana football team is proving last season was no fluke. The Hoosiers are 4-0 and ranked 11th in the nation. Some of the success can be attributed to new quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who leads the nation with 14 touchdown passes. And as Alexandra Holm reports, he's not the only Mendoza on the team.
Fernando Mendoza threw 5 touchdown passes all in the first half of last week's rout of Illinois. With the game out of reach, the Hoosiers turned to Fernando's younger brother, Alberto. The brothers are from Miami, grandsons of Cuban immigrants. They attended Miami's Christopher Columbus High School. Fernando won a state championship in 2019 and might have won another if the playoffs weren't canceled because of COVID.
The first pass he ever threw was a touchdown pass to tie a game when we were down. We were out a bunch of quarterbacks, and he was sick. He did not practice the whole week. But that was his first play, so he kind of had it right from the get-go.
Alberto won 2 state titles for the Explorers before his freshman season at IU last year. He completed 1 pass. This year, Fernando has thrown 14 touchdowns and Alberto 3.
No offense to Fernando. I've watched him play for a while in college. When Alberto threw the touchdown, the whole Dunn family jumped off the couch.
Against Kennesaw State, the Mendozas became the first brothers in a decade to throw for touchdowns in the same game.
To see him out there operate efficiently with confidence and no hesitation was great, and it really shows that he's going to be able to take a next step and big step and be a great quarterback one day.
They are different personalities but have the same fire.
Alberto always played with a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder, which was to his advantage. And Fernando was probably a little bit more relaxed and calmer of the two.
Teammates have been impressed with the brothers' dedication, throwing every day in the summer.
I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. But it's paying off, right? Those guys are super dedicated, and they're seeing the fruits of their labor, and I know they're not satisfied as well. So, because those kids are just hard workers.
The work is paying off. With victories and national attention, Fernando is a prime contender for the Heisman Trophy and considered a possible first-round pick in the NFL draft. His younger brother gets some of the credit.
They have a true deep love for each other, which stems from their parents. They were raised the right way. There's a competitive fire between them that they will push each other.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Alexandra Holm.
Mendoza and the Hoosiers will look to go 5-0 Saturday when they travel to Iowa. The Hoosiers are 7.5-point favorites against the 3-1 Hawkeyes. The game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. on Peacock. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Maller Grotner Plummer Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Maller Grotner Plummer Attorneys, understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, on the web at lawngp.com. Smithville, fiber internet, security solutions, and voice in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Bunger and Robertson, attorneys at law since 1949, utilizing experience, knowledge, and resources to help individuals and families recover in personal injury matters. Information at lawbr.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.